Hey, good Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody has enjoyed a cold but sunny Tuesday. And the weather this week's going to be really quiet. It's all about kind of looking ahead to what we could see this upcoming weekend. So I kind of want to bring you the very latest on how things look. Somebody calling. Come on now. This is not, I wouldn't say it's a unique storm, but it is rare in that there's a lot of cold air and there's a lot of moisture as well. And here in Virginia, if you've lived here for any amount of time, or not just in Virginia, DC, maybe down toward Memphis, Oklahoma City, areas kind of along that 40 corridor, we all consider ourselves kind of on the line where we'll get a lot of moisture and then there's always like a marginal temperature setup. That is not going to be the case this go around. This is going to be the coldest air that we have had in years. And so that is a huge element in getting a big event that'll have a huge impact. And we're a long way away from saying that this is going to be all snow. You can say that now, and if that happens to be the case, well, the model was right that you were looking at. That's it. At this point, I still think all precipitation types are going to be possible with this. It is leaning more towards snow and maybe some sleet in the Richmond area, but I'm getting ahead. First off, I just want to show you kind of the setup here and why this is, again, not necessarily unique, but it is a rare event for not just us here in Virginia, but a lot of states here across the nation's midsection and even into the deep south as well. So let's check this out. If we can flip this around, and we're going to look at, first off, the upper level pattern. This is kind of a mess, but it does show a good part of what's coming together for the storm system. I've gone ahead to late Thursday. That's what you're looking at. Virginia's right in here. So we're looking at late Thursday. There's Florida, Texas, to kind of give you some perspective here, and California. So you've got this big upper level low. This is up near the plains where planes fly, essentially. So we're looking way up off the surface. And what's going to happen is this low, a lot of times the models do not handle these very well, kind of a cutoff low. It is going to gradually move to the east, and you're going to see lots of energy being pulled out of the southeast Pacific and into parts of the deep south, and all the way, I'm going to stop this right in here. This is Saturday afternoon and evening. You're looking at from Texas all the way through the southern plains, all the way into the deep south and into the mid-Atlantic. This whole area right here is under a broad scale overrunning pattern. And that is going to result in a lot of moisture. You're getting moisture out of the Pacific as well as moisture coming up out of the Gulf. Now, you don't see that there. I can see that as a meteorologist. I just know that this type of pattern, especially when it's undercut with really cold air, it is an overrunning pattern. So you're going to see a zone in here with lots of precipitation, snow, and then sleet, and then ice as well. And this is going to continue until this kicker low kind of shoves everything out of here as we get into Monday. And we're going to reload with more cold air coming south. So this is going to result potentially in temperatures sub-zero here in central Virginia. Negative numbers. That is a possibility early next week. All right, so let's go back, and I want to show you the surface pattern here. So we'll jump back a little bit, and we'll go to the surface pattern. And when you look at pressure surfaces, the higher the pressure this time of year, the colder the air mass. And up here, coming out of Canada, right in here, this is a 1053 millibar high. That is an intensely cold area of cold air coming out of the Arctic. So the polar vortex, this is not the polar vortex, but it is a result of a disrupted polar vortex. So you have super cold air that's typically locked up there. So you kind of think of it as like the polar vortex is sort of the wall, kind of, it's like an above ground pool. Think about an above ground pool keeping all the super cold air up there. Well, if you go over there and you push on one side of the pool, you disrupt it, all that cold air comes pouring out. That's kind of what happens here with the polar vortex. It typically keeps all that cold air locked around the North Pole. It gets disrupted and it allows this cold air to spill south, and you're going to have a elongated area of cold air. So you've got cold air here all the way over into the east. Now, that pattern that I just showed you a moment ago, moisture coming up out of the Pacific and also out of the Gulf, and there is your pattern there with snow then sleet, freezing rain, and then the plain old rain's pretty far south. So we're looking at Oklahoma, Texas area, over into Arkansas and Missouri. And then as we move, we're looking at Saturday afternoon. And I do think if one thing has changed, I would say that it's just shifted a little later. So for us here in Central Virginia, I think most of Saturday should be fine. What you're looking at is 7 p.m. Saturday. There's Virginia. Notice the snow is still off to our south and west. Notice this is just one model, and it is still 4 days out. So that all could change, but that's the one trend I've been noticing lately, is that it seems as though it may be coming in a little bit later. It's not really going to affect the overall product here, what we end up getting, but then everything moves along, and there could be a low. It looks like most models are progging a low to develop off the coast, so you get the overrunning snow first, then you get a little bit extra from the low developing off the coast. There's not a lot of blocking up here to have this low curl back and really bring strong winds, which would be an all-out nor'easter and blizzard conditions, but the low itself would be enough, again, to generate some more snow for the area. But again, the lack of blocking up here is going to allow this thing to kind of zip along, which I will say, I'll just throw it out there, it's not a guarantee that this won't go too far south to bring us a huge storm. I don't think that'll happen, but that'd be the one thing that for snow lovers, just keep in the back of your mind. If this thing decides to slide too far to the south, then it may limit totals. Again, I don't think that's going to happen, but that'd be the only thing I think that would prevent this from being a big event from us, one way or another. All right, so let's go over here and look at what we've got on our in-house. This is the same model that we're looking at. It's the Euro, and I will say that the Euro for this last event, it did horribly. It was the last one to pick up on any snow at all. Everybody else had snow, had rain changing over to some snow on Sunday. That's exactly what happened, but the Euro never had it. Euro, for the most part, always had it down to our south and east, Hampton Roads or into North Carolina, and it was the last one to catch up. So I'm not saying that it was probably a one-off. I'm hoping that the Euro has a handle on this one a little bit better than the last one. So this is Saturday morning. Let's advance this to Saturday evening, and you're going to see the snow overspread the area. Again, I think most of Saturday's fine. This is 9 o'clock. If you've got Saturday night plans, I think you probably ought to consider a backup plan. It may be okay to be out. I don't think at that point at 9 o'clock on Saturday you're going to have 6 inches of snow on the ground, but it will be slick. And it is going to be super cold. The Arctic front will arrive Friday night, and so it's barely going to get the low 20s on Saturday. A super, super cold day Saturday, and by Saturday 9 o'clock, it'll probably be 18, 19 degrees. All right, so overnight, the snow continues to intensify. This is Sunday morning. We got snow. Heading into Sunday afternoon, still snow. Now notice that the mixing line moves pretty far north. That is something that we see more often than not, is especially with the big events, is that you get a warm nose that will go in there, and it doesn't matter if the surface temperature is 15 degrees. That does not mean it's just going to snow. It can be 15 and it can sleet. It can be 15 and it could rain. In this case, if it were 15 and raining, it'd be freezing rain. But the surface temperature does not determine whether or not you get sleet or snow. It is the mid-level temperatures, and you can get warming in the mid-levels even when it is super cold at the surface. So there's a lot going on throughout the atmosphere, and we're not talking about just forecasting what happens at the surface. Now, you got to take that into account because whatever falls has to stick. That was an issue with Sundays. We were just a little bit above freezing, and we will be way below freezing on Saturday and Sunday for this. So that's not an issue. Typically it is an issue in Virginia. It will not be an issue this go around. All right, and then Sunday night into Monday, everything winds down. This model does not show mixing. If we get all snow and it looks like this, it's going to be huge. Now, I am not going to put out some of these snowfall totals that you're seeing flying around online because it's too early. It simply is too early. I can tell you it looks like a very, very big event, and that should be enough for you to make any change in plans that you need to make, and it should be enough to get you excited as well. If you want to look at those totals, go right ahead. The people that post them, they shouldn't be doing it, and they know it, but they can't resist because they get more likes and shares, and they get paid more to do it. So that's what you're going to see. All right, so then let's move on over here, and we'll look at my headlines. This really has not changed from yesterday. I've just made a couple of tweaks. The one thing I would say is that I am looking ahead to early next week where the temperatures in the wake of this storm could drop below zero. That's pipe bursting cold. You need to have your home winterized. You need to be just thinking ahead about what you're going to do. You don't have to do it now. You don't have to do it tomorrow. Don't even have to do it on Friday. But just be ready to let the faucets drip. Be ready to cover up the spigots outside and disconnect hoses, stuff like that. During the event, we're going to be teens, maybe some single digits, but again, it could drop below zero. And this is not just the coldest air of the season, but it could be the coldest we've had in years. All right, all precip types possible. There is still the chance that we could have some freezing rain. It looks like it'll be primarily snow based on the data today, not just the operational models, but the ensemble models. It would indicate that it's mostly going to be snow, but there could easily be a bunch of sleet thrown in. If we get a bunch of sleet thrown in, that's going to knock the totals way down. So that is a possibility. It's still going to stick, still going to be an issue because it will be so cold at the surface. So again, I still think all precip types will be possible, even right here in Richmond, even though it does still appear to be mostly snow. And this is a high impact event, and it looks like that's a likely scenario, and it's unusual because we will have both the frigid air mass and lots of moisture. We typically don't have both of those. We've had lots of moisture in the past, just marginal temperatures, but it looks like this is going to be one where we get both of those. That's going to result in heavy amounts of ice and snow. So that's it. I'm not overplaying this at all. I don't think I'm underplaying this at all either. It is just what it is. It's a big storm system coming in this weekend. We are 96 hours out, maybe a little bit more, maybe about 100 hours out from seeing the first few snowflakes around here. So again, there's still plenty of time to change. I've been doing this long enough to know that sometimes it's a big storm and it starts to wind down or shift north or south. Again, this is one where there is so much overwhelming agreement in the models that I think we need to prepare for a big storm over the upcoming weekend, and one that's probably going to have a lasting impact for quite a while as well. I'm going to continue to update you. Yesterday I just sort of did some graphics and a discussion. Today I decided to go with the Facebook Live. If you've got any questions, travel questions, stuff like that, don't ask me how much we're going to get yet, because I'm not going to tell you a total at this point. I mean, I just say it could be very big. It could be the most we've seen in quite a long time. And all the other fun comments that folks like to put on here. I'm sure that I'll see those as well. All right, so you guys have a great afternoon. I will be on the air here in about 30 minutes, a little less than that, and then reanalyze all the data tonight and tomorrow morning and be right back at it tomorrow afternoon with another update for you. Thanks for joining.